In today's episode of the Pathmark Presents podcast, I'm here with a very interesting guest today. I'm with Shayna Hodkin, and she is the head of content at Knapsack. And at Knapsack, they're all about design and design systems, specifically. And it's quite an interesting topic, actually. We've been, talking on the show previously about design systems. For example, material design was one that's been discussed. And today we want to be learning how and which role Knapsack plays in that ecosystem of design systems. So, Shayna, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Very cool. So give us the 360 overview. What is Knapsack all about?
Knapsack is a design system platform that unites designers, developers, and anyone else on a product team within the same platform. So most of the platforms that exist today for design systems are designer only or developer only. You have people working out of sync. There's developers get a bad rap where a designer will send them a design they've worked on. Every pixel has been perfected. It's all in the right place. And developers will round a corner here and there. The color will be off by, a hex code or two. And by working in the same platform, we can assure that never happens. There are no miscommunications. No one has to chase anyone down. And there's always a central source of truth. There are never any arguments.
Very cool. Does that mean designers would upload their designs, like their sketch files, or is there like their own possibilities to design within the platform? Like maybe tell us a little bit how it's actually being used.
That's a really interesting question because you can't design within the platform, but you can change colors. You can make adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
You push your designs to the platform. And then developers can see them within the platform.
Makes sense.
And add their code.
Very cool. And what types of companies are picking this up? Because obviously, initially, design systems often were for large organizations, and then it has been, developing over recent years. Obviously, that more and more teams are picking it up. So, who would be sort of, what are the types of companies that are, taking the most advantage of Knapsack?
So many of our customers are enterprise or large companies. But I personally am of the belief that a design system is great for any organization at any size, because every enterprise company started as a small organization, right? They always had a first designer, a first developer. And the sooner you can build that central source of truth, the easier it will be to grow and scale.
100% with you. Very cool. So how do designers or developers or product managers that are bringing in that system, how do they hear about Knapsack? Like what would be sort of the journey that they're going through? In other words, what are the client acquisition channels that you guys are leveraging in order to get the word out?
We use social quite a lot, but we're also relying on thought leadership content. So for example, we release reports, like right now we're working on one about design system adoption. And these reports are targeted at more senior level design system practitioners, people who are focused on selling to their CFOs, CTOs, why they should be investing in design systems, people who are making the decisions on their own. And we're teaching them best practices, better practices, exposing them to new research in the field. So our last research report, for example, was about the topic of design system ROI, how you can get better ROI from your system, and how to sell this ROI as a reason to invest further in a design system. So for this, we broke it down into three categories. We broke ROI down into three categories. If you're building your first system, how do you explain what the ROI can be? If you're expanding, like let's say you have a designer and developer who spend some of their time on their system, if you want to explain to the CTO or the CFO or whoever is investing in the system why you need someone full-time on a system, just one person, here's how you explain what the gains that you've had mean for the business and how investing further can expand them. And if you've already done that, you've seen good results, and you want to build a team, what having a team can mean for your brand, for your product, and what further gains you can expect.
Very cool. So you work in content, obviously, and once somebody's heading over to the website, it's knapsack.cloud. If you head over to the blog, there's a lot of interesting content on design systems and who should be working on and with design systems. It's a lot of interesting insights there. So now the question that I have is, Shayna, how do you think about the website? What role does it play for Knapsack, sort of on a sort of, bird's eye view?
It's a very important factor in our business, and we are working on a redesign to bring the website branding closer to our product, because we know that since we're targeting enterprise clients, they are super busy. There are a ton of products targeting them, both design system and not. And we have a lot of competition, not just for a design system platform, but for their time. So we need to make sure that the copy is super clear and everything on the blog is extremely relevant to them. So if someone gets to a post, let's say someone sends them the post about the ROI report and they decide to poke around the blog a little bit, I don't want them to get lost for a second, to have any moment of being unsure about what the product is.
Makes sense. And how do you guys, I mean, you mentioned that, like, people maybe on the page not being sure, or like, how do you guys go about figuring out why people do or do not convert when they're on the website to, get in touch with you guys or getting started? Like, what's the types of tools, mechanisms, approaches that you guys are leveraging?
I'm very old-fashioned about this. I use Google Analytics really closely. So I like to see if people are spending a lot of time on a post, then clearly it's engaging. If they're sending it, if I see that folks are coming to the post from the same referral links and we're seeing a lot of traffic from there, then I know that certain channels are working. If I'm seeing that there's almost no resonance on Twitter, for example, then I'm selling the post incorrectly. And if we have a post that people are only skimming, it's been a week and the average read time is 45 seconds for a 1,200 word blog post, then clearly that's not targeted closely enough.
Okay, sounds like you have like a very, very close eye on each individual article, really how they're performing and how people behave really on the page. That's very interesting. Cool. I have one question, which is maybe a little bit out of the sort of just has been something that's been coming up recently on the podcast. I'm not sure if it's something that you, as a head of content, is even relevant, but the cookieless future, right, is coming up. Third-party cookies are going to be gone. Is that something that sort of marketing teams already start to discuss? We had like conversations spark up here and there, or is that something that isn't really in talks at the very moment?
It's not something that's really impacting us right now because we're not investing in paid ads.
Makes complete
at
sense.
the moment. So
very cool. Let's switch gears a little bit. I would love to learn a little bit about yourself. So you're an expert in design systems. You create expert and thought leadership content. Where do you go yourself to keep on educating yourself? What are your sources of inspiration? Where do you like to educate yourself? How do you filter out stuff that is maybe not as relevant? How do you do that sort of for your personal development in that field?
Our customers are a great resource because they're working on this in the field. They have so much knowledge from their day-to-day on what's working for them, what's not working for them, especially within the product. I love to see, just as much as our developers and designer, love to see where they're getting stuck, what's working for them, any ideas they may have. And similarly to that, our developers have so much experience working with design systems. Everyone on the team, a lot of us came from the same large design company before we got to Knapsack. So a lot of us have experience in the field working with customers, working with developers, designers, and just hearing from other people and other products, the way that we're all keeping track of the ecosystem at large. So not just what other design system platforms are doing, but what other teams like Abstract, just came out with something that's really interesting to see. Mural, everything that is design and design adjacent. And plus I like to read company blogs, so competitor blogs that I'm not going to shout out because that would not be good for us. You don't have to include that part.
Very good.
I love to read what my colleagues are writing about.
Awesome. I would have some rapid fire questions to wrap it up for the day. Are you ready for those? And they're a bit of a surprise. They're a bit of a surprise for our guests, but so far everybody made it through. So what is the last book you read?
Wow. Can I tell you the book I'm reading right now instead? Because I've been working on it for a little while.
That counts, yeah.
Oh my God, shit. I forgot what it's called. I'm terrible with book names, so I keep them in Notion. I have a list of the books I'm reading, and then when I finish them, I have a short I add a short description. Because I'm so bad. I read so many books. You would never know how bad I am with titles and everything. Shit. Oh my God, this is horrible. I'm so embarrassed.
We can get back to that. No worries.
Yeah, we will. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's get back to that.
What is the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
User research.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, right? Everything is possible. What's the one thing that you would fix for your role?
The one thing I would fix: easier communication with the people who are reading blog posts. So to have some kind of Pendo or intercom like interface for while people are reading a blog post where they could leave a question.
And if we go back to the days of University of Maryland, like a bit of time travel, right? You go back to those days and you're heading off out of education. What's the one advice you would give yourself?
Don't feel bad about majoring in English. One day someone's going to pay you a lot of money for knowing how to write good, clear sentences.
That is pretty cool. Shayna, I really appreciate you took the time with us today.
I'm reading Trust Exercise.
Trust Exercise. Very good. There you go. We're back. Trust Exercise. Awesome. Now, can you tell us one sentence what it's about so people can...
Trust Exercise is a novel about teenagers in high school who are discovering how to relate to each other and their bodies and themselves. And then it gets really weird towards the middle. And you find out that it's not just about teenagers at all, but I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Very good. I really appreciate you took the time with us today, Shayna. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Knapsack today, what's the one thing they should remember?
They should remember that working in a unified platform is extremely important because it facilitates healthy behaviors. You can have the most up-to-date, shiny systems in the world, but the most important thing for those to work to your benefit is to adapt healthy behaviors, including your whole team. And those benefits start today.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Platform Presents.
Thank you so much for having me.